Welcome back to Earth Station Trek, a show where we trek from the early days on NBC to the future on Paramount Plus and everywhere in between. I'm Charles Kelso, and it's my privilege to introduce the Earth Station Trek crew. Keith Johnson, Alan Seiler,
Everybody shut up. Listen to Shax.
and Veronica Dashel.
Hi.
And Keith Johnson.
Greetings.
There he is.
Yay!
Oh,
We
that's
also
funny.
have an extra special guest, Muffet.
Yep.
Yay, look at
Muffet
that
the
precious
dog.
baby.
So cute.
Right. So if you're listening to the audio podcast, you'll want to go check out the video for this one because Veronica's holding a puppy.
Yes.
Yeah. So he doesn't sit in the next room and bark.
Yeah. An adorable, sweet puppy.
Yep. All right. Did we have any news or This Week in Trek this week?
Yep.
The only big news, and this is a quick one because it's already been discussed a lot, is the removal of 10 movies from Paramount Plus,
Mhm.
which are now shifting over to HBO Max. Why?
Why?
Why do you? I know it's because of money. I know because
Yeah.
Max has like paid them a ton of money to like, hey, we want those 10 movies. But when you spend as much time as they did curating your Star Trek platform and promoting yourself as the streaming home for the entire Star Trek universe, and it took so long to get all those things in, then why sell off 10 of your movies that quickly?
No.
Yeah. An article that I was reading, I don't remember now if it was speculating or if it was saying that it was a pre-existing deal and that the deal came up and so
Okay.
they lose the movies and for a certain period of time. But I don't know. I
Okay,
mean,
that could
surely they
be.
planned Paramount Plus far enough in advance that they would, you know what I mean? Like,
Are you sure? I mean, this is Paramount Plus we're talking about.
that's true.
They've done some really smart moves in the past.
They could have
Right.
decided it like 10 minutes before it happened.
Yeah. All I know is I will immediately want to watch whichever ones are not on there. You know, like, oh, I should watch this, but only like at night when it's cold. I don't want to get up so I just grumble about it.
Yeah, exactly. But that's basically it. That's the only big thing that happened this past week.
All right.
One more little news thing is
Oh, is it?
I would mention is the Hugo Award.
Oh,
Okay.
true.
Who won
Go
that?
ahead. Mention it.
Strange New Worlds. Won
Yay.
Hugo Award for physical media. Strange New Worlds won Hugo Award for best streaming science fiction. And as we were discussing in our group, you have some good competition. You've got The Expanse, which I just adore. Probably the best hard sci-fi I've seen in decades.
Yes.
Charles, you've got the one you keep telling me to watch, For All Mankind.
Yeah, I think For All Mankind should have been the best streaming sci-fi series. But
Yes.
I mean, the Hugo Awards are voted on by members, so it's
Right.
you got it's Star Trek brand carries a lot, and
Yeah.
and a nostalgia show like Strange New Worlds carries a lot too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And actually, I personally like the most recent season of the Orville slightly better to Strange New Worlds. And that is literally like saying something's a 9.5 and something's a 9.4. I mean,
Right.
I'm not gonna like burn the studio down for that or anything like that.
Burn it down.
Yeah.
Burn it
The only
all
one
down.
I haven't watched is the new Lost in Space. I've only seen 2 episodes of that series. I don't know if that was really that good.
I saw the first season and I just didn't like it.
Yeah.
I did like the first season and like the second season less.
Yeah.
And so I haven't made all the way through the third yet. But
Yeah.
I love that we're at a point where with like there's so many sci-fi shows of such high quality that it's like I like this one a little bit more. I like this one a little bit more instead of there just being a show that everybody hates.
Yeah. So that
Yes,
was pretty
Matt, we can see your name.
good.
We can see your
Well,
name
Matt-
now. Although there's 2 other Facebook users that may have been mad at one point.
I think
don't know.
I think they must have been.
I was gonna say no, we can't see your name, Matt.
Oops, sorry.
I'm
That
just
would have been
kidding.
funny.
Yeah.
Much
All
fun.
right, we got some This Week in Trek this week, Keith.
Yeah, got a couple. First one, this is a trip. This person was born the year that the armistice was signed. 23 October 1918.
Wow.
And let's see if I can think of something. If I say the one thing, it'll give it away real quick. Okay, the contest of power, Captain. You had no chance. That's extremely oblique, I know.
No, I mean I've got it narrowed down to candidates, but go ahead. Get
Okay, The next one, this will give it away. By how many other names may we know you? Moses, Methuselah, Merlin.
Okay. Yeah, it's last name Daly.
Yes, James.
James Daly.
James Daly, who played Flint. And we've talked about this before sometimes, guys. You know, we talk about, and I hear so many people talk about Star Trek episodes when you were young that you don't like them because they don't do much for you.
Right.
This is the third season. It's Requiem for Methuselah. It's kind of, the third season has really kind of sad music. It's got really leaden pacing. And when I was a kid, I didn't really like Requiem for Methuselah, but as I become an adult, I really like the show simply because I like the thing about this immortal man who literally is just lonely. I mean, and it's kind of like you saw that also with Zephyr Cochrane when he said immortality consists largely of boredom, although he's on an asteroid. And I kind of feel for Flint. The man was 6,000 years old, and how many hundreds of women and people, friends, has he buried throughout that time? It's not the best show, but I do like that kind of that emotional core there. It has one of the most tender moments in all of Star Trek at the end when Spock does whatever he does to kind of make Kirk, I guess, the pain of losing Reyna, the famous forget. So it's actually a beautiful episode that goes up in my estimation over the years.
Yeah, I like it.
How about you, Alan and Veronica?
What?
I don't know. We're not getting Alan's audio. Right. There you go.
No, we're not getting you're muted, Alan.
All right.
There you go.
There you go.
No,
What
I got nothing. I haven't watched it in a long time.
Another real quick one. As Marvel Comics says, enough said. 23 October 1953, the birth date of one Ira Stephen Bear.
Awesome. Yeah.
And like I said, what else can we say?
Right.
The 26th of October, 1971. 2 words, Spore Drive.
Okay. Is that Stamets?
Yes.
Is it the real Stamets or the fake Stamets on TV?
Anthony Rapp. It's the fake
Okay.
one. Good call, Alan. I didn't even think about that. And another one real quick, 27th of October, 1953 is the birth date of a character I didn't think was going to take off. It was now one of the most beloved, and that's the Doctor in Voyager, Robert Picardo.
Okay.
Everyone's favorite hologram.
Yeah.
Right. Although there's more competition for that title now.
Yeah, there is.
Good point.
The Janeway.
Good point. You could actually do a thing on that.
Yeah.
2 more, we're done. The 28th of October, 1964. Another, enough said, Robert Hewitt Wolf.
Okay. Great.
Yes.
Another great one. He's done so much stuff. And I know, Charles, you keep bringing up other stuff he's done outside of Star Trek. And some of these people like Tracy Torme and stuff, they do so many other series and stuff outside of Trek.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then the last one, I don't usually do the deaths anymore, but this one was important. The 24th of October, 1991. And that was when we lost the great bird himself. That was the day that Gene Roddenberry passed away.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Wow. All right.
And that's this week in Trek history.
Yeah. Let's take a quick break to promote a fellow ESO Network podcast show. And then when we come back, we'll be talking about the latest episode of Star Trek Lower Decks. So
holy crap.
Did you not watch Lower Decks?
No, holy crap. I watched it.
Okay.
Well, don't give it away before the break.
Wow.
All right. So if you're watching live, we're gonna keep on. I'm gonna mention too that Keith, when you talk, there's a little bit of feedback coming through. I don't know if your connection is not plugged in all the way or if it's or something.
Okay, let me get a little closer. Is that any better?
Yes, that's much better.
That's way better.
Okay, cool.
Okay.
So sit in an uncomfortable position for the entire show.
That's right.
So
now I'm doing one of those things where you're like, God, dude, get back away.
It's like when your mom's using Zoom.
Yeah.
All right, Veronica, you want to bring us back with a spoiler warning?
I absolutely. This is still not getting old. Veronica thinks about it. Then she goes, spoiler.
do something funny, quick.
Ding dong. Spoiler.
There you go. Something new.
There
you
you
go.
go.
Challenger. All right, so we're starting off with this the season 3 finale of Star Trek Lower Decks, and it was epic. It was great.
Yeah.
Yes, epic.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
It was really good. And since I've been out sick for like two sessions in a row. I was out sick. I was actually still behind, so I ended up watching the last 3 episodes of Lower Deck all at once.
Wow.
And it all just flowed really well together.
Mhm.
Yeah, we said this so many times, but man, I swear their battles. They take the time to animate their battles.
Yeah.
My goodness.
Yeah.
Yeah, this was really, really high water mark, I think.
Yes.
This was heavy pew pew.
Mhm.
And I like pew pew in my season finales.
Yeah.
I like to see ships go at each other.
Me too.
And then, and I think that kind of a milestone in this one too is that the big battle at the end was all lower deck ships. You know,
Yes.
it wasn't the legacy ships.
Right.
I mean, you
Right.
had earlier in the episode, you had just a great looking sovereign class.
Oh man,
But,
that was beautiful.
I love the end where it was all the California classes and the Texas classes, and I think probably if you're from California, you probably get some pleasure out of the California class beating the Texas classes. But
Right.
it was great.
Yeah,
It was
I had a problem with that being a Texan.
but I loved it. I thought that they did a great job of tying it back to the Ultimate Computer.
Mhm.
I love how the computer interfaces had that sort of the little light
Yes.
pattern, like
Yes.
M5.
Yes.
And even
was
at one
great.
point, he told the other ship that he was going to be a Dunzel. And
Yes.
I love the little nods like that.
Yeah.
I think I missed that line. But
Mm.
I'm glad you mentioned that because I will
Yeah.
catch it the next time
It
I
was
watch it.
something Rutherford said when
Mhm.
after the captain was like, "He will take you down."
Yes.
Oh yeah. Okay.
Yeah. And
I
then
remember.
he
Okay.
said, you're going to be a Dunzo. And I'm like you, Charles, and here's the thing, it was a very slight misdirect because as soon as I saw the computer graphics, I thought, are they actually going to say this sound like some kind of mutant son of M5 or something weird like that? But I just look, even in the Admiral's, once he was basically turned like mustache twirling villain,
Right.
on the console right next to him was that exact same graphics with, like you said, the crazy lines and stuff like that.
Yeah.
It was
Yeah.
awesome.
Yeah, and I love it because it tying it in just makes it a part of like that history, where
Mhm.
Yes.
Starfleet kept experimenting with that kind of stuff. And I didn't think about this last week, but there were robo ships that were like freighters on the animated series.
Yes.
Yeah,
And there was
that's
an
right.
automated ship. Was it? I think the Wotan on the original series. So I mean, they've had robot ships of some capacity, and they've just never been able to do a full starship that way.
Right.
So I thought it's a really cool sort of taking that a step forward and do something a little bit different, but sort of tied in with what has happened before in the universe. I thought it was pretty
Yeah.
cool.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Agreed.
I wrote a note about that too, and I think that's one of those. It's been a central theme of Star Trek and really society for years, and that is what is the dividing line between, I'm using the word man for everybody, between man and machine, where you do want something to be automated, because at the end of the day is, do we want starships and everything where people never go? Because what's the point? And I found it a little surprising that a room full of officers and admirals who I all assume had been in space would all vote for the automated ship. Maybe that makes sense when you become an admiral. I don't know.
Yeah.
I thought that was a little weird. I can't see Picard or Kirk or Cisco voting for that.
No, I mean, I think it depends on the situation. Like I was mentioning last week, that'd
Yes.
be really handy in the Dominion War. That you could have,
Yeah.
I think you get a
Yeah.
lot of yeses in a situation like that, where they're like, yeah, let's throw ships at it and not people.
Yeah,
But,
that's true.
Exactly.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I mean but
But
they're
for
really
second
stressing.
contact and first contact type stuff,
Yeah.
I thought that was going to be one of the things that they mentioned, because like the first place they went to in the competition was the same place they went to in the very first episode.
Mhm.
And I thought
Oh,
there was
good
going to
call.
be something about well, they weren't very personable this time. Or something like that.
Yeah.
Right.
Where like the Starfleet and the interactions they have with the crew and learning about Starfleet from them is a large portion of what Starfleet does.
Mm-hmm.
That's a good point. That's something that I wrote in my notes was, why in the heck would you send a fully automated, completely empty ship on first or second contact? I mean, I get,
Yeah.
sure, it could beam down whatever was that prefab stuff, which was really cool.
Mhm.
But if you notice, what I found very interesting is as the Captain Freeman was making the Cerritos rush, remember, like you said, the first group of aliens, they were kind of stunned because like, bye. And there
Right.
was no interaction.
Yeah.
But at the same time, as you say, the important word, whether it be first or second, the important word is contact.
Right.
Mhm.
And if you're just beaming stuff down from a automated ship, that's not contact.
Yeah.
Exactly. Agreed. Agreed. That's yeah, Alan, I was thinking about that. I was thinking about that's actually one of the key things of the series Enterprise, which is one of the things I think they did well, because every science fiction show basically says that humans are the best species in the galaxy, and I think I have my problems with that. But one of the things that Enterprise I think did well was they would do things like Archer would go somewhere and T'Pol would say, "The Vulcans have already been there. There's nothing to do," and he would go, "Well, look. We're going to stay and talk to the people. We're going to have dinner with them." And pretty much the Vulcans and the Andorians and even the Tellarites were always like, what is it with you humans? You always want to spend time talking to people. Get in, get out, get the treaty, get the weapons, get the food. And so I think that, like you said, Alan, contact is contact. First, second, whatever contact. And that robot ship, all it's going to do is beam stuff down and leave. That doesn't foster relationships.
Right. Yeah.
Let me get 2 super quick comments. Matt says 2 episodes in a row the Cerritos gets tore up.
Yes, sir.
That is true. And I was thinking about that when I was watching it. I was like, dude, that ship just got fixed from the last pounding it took.
Yeah.
And then Matt also says, I love the music in the battle. Very James Horner, Star Trek 2 and 3. I agree.
Agree.
Yeah.
I'm sure that was on purpose as well.
Yes.
Oh yeah, sure. And I think that all the way through Lower Decks has been killing it on the music front. Just to say, for opening theme, Lower Decks is my favorite of the modern batch of shows, but incidental music has just been perfect in that whole series. Love it.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, and it was we got a new Badmiral.
He didn't last very long. He's gone now.
Yeah.
It was nice that we had him in a series of 3 or 4 episodes, so that we've known him and we've gotten to know his name and we know who he is and his relationship to Freeman, and before he goes wonky and we find out that all along he has had this secret mission.
Right.
You said you just said he didn't last long. Something else about the show that was kind of interesting is you saw him and you saw some people dying. You saw some explosions where I'm like, oh yeah, that person got sucked out into space. But you saw him basically looked like that the phaser that the ship shot, looks like it punched through his midsection and burned him, and then it was quick, but he died.
Right.
And you mentioned the Admiral. I wrote down, I thought was kind of funny is when Captain Freeman actually said to the Admiral, "Tell me you're not one of those bad faith admirals." Yes, I am.
I thought they were going to do it and make Badmiral canon.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I
but
think
was
it was actually she actually said you're not one of those.
Right. Yeah. Tell me you're not
He's-
one of those bad.
No, she
faith.
said-
He said he was.
Yeah, she said, "You're better than that," and he was like, "Am I?"
Did y'all see this coming at all? As this was the thing behind Rutherford and everything. Did anything at all clue you? Because it didn't me.
No, I knew that the robo ships were going to be. I thought they were going to get hacked by the other AIs, but I knew that they're going to be evil. And I expected that to happen. That's
completely
just natural.
Have to
That's
be,
just
right.
having seen Star Trek before.
Right.
But no, I was still thinking that the Section 31 storyline would tie in with Rutherford.
Yeah.
They dropped
Right.
that a while back.
Good point.
Right.
Yeah.
And speaking of that, a little story thread, I think Veronica knows where I'm going with this. That little story thread that didn't get picked back up this season, we've heard all along that T'Lyn was going to show back up, and the last 30 seconds of the season, she finally walks on the ship, and I'm like, well, good. That means we'll have her next year.
Yeah, I mean, he said she was going to be this season. He didn't,
say
how
how
long.
much.
The first episode next year, she's going to be leaving.
Oh, don't say that.
In the first scene.
No.
We saw her 2 seasons in a row.
That kind of appearance reminds me of way back in Next Generation when everybody's excited because Spock was going to show up. And he showed up in the last 30 seconds of that one episode of the 2-parter.
Well, sure, but you knew that's how that would play out.
Yeah.
I
They got to maximize their Nimoy money.
Yeah.
Correct.
Yeah.
Did anybody do what's the word, squee or whatever, when Rutherford was basically saying that the AI was the same one that Badgie was built on?
It makes sense. It's tying it right in. And we've seen him doing that.
Yeah. And so
And
I
it
actually
makes sense that it went evil.
Yep.
yeah, and Charles, as you're saying the fact that any type of artificial intelligence you knew had to go evil, I did chuckle because not only did they do it, but they played the stereotype well because the ship instantly started calling the admiral father, and it was just so
Mhm.
I will burn your heart, and he kept, it was instantly father, and I must kill you, and I will burn your heart, and I just loved it. It was so cliche, but it was still fun.
Well, even before that, when he turned on its fully automated automatic. I can't get the words out tonight. When he turned it on fully on auto and all the lights turned red, and it's like, oh, that's not gonna be good.
Yeah. Never make your robot lights red.
No, don't even
Exactly.
red lights.
Matt says, I love the way they tied those elements from previous episodes and seasons. Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, that's what I was
just
thinking too.
smart writing, you know?
Yeah. I think the arcs have worked better this season on Lower Decks than they have any previous seasons. I think they did a great job of weaving those all the way through.
Yeah.
Agreed.
Yeah, it's very satisfying to see a story arc. The story arcs come together at the end.
I think the
Yeah.
story arcs have worked better than they did in Picard.
Yeah,
Okay,
agree.
that's a low
I hate
bar.
to say that, but
That's not hard to do.
Right.
right.
Something else I like, Alan. Last week you weren't with us. Last week we were talking about the fact that we were concerned if Beckett was, if they were kind of like maybe going to regress her a little bit.
Yeah.
And I like the fact that because again I watched the week before again today, and she genuinely didn't want to leave the ship, which I thought was cool because she's finally having connections. And I love the fact that she had what should have been this really cool adventurous life as almost like an Indiana Jones, and she didn't like it. Or Bosch, and she wanted to go back to Starfleet, and I thought that was kind of cool. So
Yes.
maybe they can finally start progressing her just a little bit more to become a more mature person. I thought that was really cool.
I think they've progressed her a lot over the 3 seasons. I think that she has had actual genuine character growth over the 3 seasons that we watched her, and I've loved it. Absolutely. I think she's, I mean, I didn't care for her much at the beginning.
Yeah,
You know, I gravitated more toward, Boimler and Tendi particularly.
right.
But I think I've basically said this on every show we've done this season about the growth that we've seen in the 4 main characters.
Yeah,
But from this episode, you can see, if you go back and watch that very first episode, just how different Mariner is. I mean, she has really, really grown a lot in these 3 seasons. But I want to say, once again, Tendi stands out in this episode because she's the one who, basically is the linchpin for the whole undoing of the Texas class, because she's the one who's like, wait a minute, I found some things. We have to stop the mission and we have to find out if these are sentient or not, which is something that the Texas class will not do. It's not programmed to do. It didn't consider doing it. So once again, Tendi is the hero, and I love her.
Yeah, and I love that was the technicality that they sort of won on, or would have won on, is that they didn't win the race, but they're doing it the right way.
Exactly.
Right.
Exactly. And I knew that's what it was going to come down to.
Yeah.
We aren't going to be able to keep up with a machine, but we do the mission the way the mission is supposed to be done.
We know what to look for.
Exactly.
And we think about these things.
Yeah, totally.
Yeah.
Okay, Matt says, have any of you thought that Petra was inspired by Bernice Summerfield from Doctor Who Expanded Universe stories?
Don't know, Matt. I don't know that reference.
He barely knows Doctor Who, much less the Expanded Universe.
Right.
I don't think I know Petra.
No, Petra was in the episode tonight, but Bernie Summerfield is a long-running character on the Doctor Who, like in the books and Big Finish audios.
I doubt. Yeah, I'm sorry. I doubt she was. But
yeah, I agree with you.
Yeah,
I think more Vash and like Space Indiana Jones is off. You know what I mean? I think they're both kind of doing Space Indiana Jones, though.
Oh yeah, I loved that. Mariner had this. She just knew something was up. She knew something was wrong. She's gonna find out what it is. So she's still, even on this independent lifestyle that she's adopted, still thinking Starfleetish, and it turns out that there's nothing nefarious.
Right.
No, that's Picard.
Petra's just working for Picard.
Right.
She's just collecting artifacts and bringing them to museums. I love that.
Yeah, and she was like, "Oh, well, crap."
And I hope that gets referenced in the next season of Picard, just in a line of dialogue.
That was pretty
Just
cool.
something offhanded that just connects these two shows in a more
Yes.
significant way. I think that'd be a lot of fun.
It would be awesome if that little Klingon statue was on his desk or something like that. Just you don't have to mention it. You just see it
Yes.
sitting back there. They had like there's then they have all kind of Easter eggs in the background of Picard anyway, like his little artifacts room, and then in the in season 2 they do it too. So yeah, just do something that ties in with the other show would be hilarious.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
We were talking about the effects and stuff, and the thing I thought the weapons that the Texas class had were cool. They would fire an energy thing, and then it broke into several energy things that would spread out. I thought that was pretty cool. And they seem to have some pretty incredible shielding. But again, I guess if you don't have to worry about life support and stuff like that, you can make a really powerful ship.
Yeah, that's true.
Although you have to have a lot of stuff to make replicating stuff.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, very technically put.
Yeah. But you think about it, you don't even have to have
raw materials to produce the replication stuff.
Yeah.
Exactly.
You don't have
I mean,
to have
you don't
much
have
artificial gravity.
Yeah, you don't have to worry about food replicators.
Yeah.
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 Yeah, I would presume that they have like areas to collect people and move them if need be. That's one of the big functions of a starship. So, but yeah, probably they have like configurable interiors, where you mission specific kind of stuff. I thought those ships were cool. I mean, I'm glad
I did too.
They're not going to be the thing. I wouldn't want to watch a show about one. Unless like a Mariner was on one and it was like Knight Rider in Star Trek. I'm actually talking myself into it.
Yes. Oh, that's great.
Like they decided to use the Texas class as well, but not as 100% AI. It had a very small crew.
Yeah.
It'd be the lower decks crew.
That'd be hilarious.
This is so weird. I gotta say, as a native Texan, I'm not liking that Texas is the failed ship class. I need that redressed. I need the Texas class to come back. You can be away from Texas forever, guys. It's in your blood. It is what it is.
No, I'm from Florida. If they had named it the Florida class, I would have been, well, that checks out. Ship designed by Florida man.
Right.
Yeah. One of the jokes in Trek for years, especially with TNG, was the joke that Worf was always wanting to blast something, but he never got to. So I love the whole eject the core thing with Shax.
Yes, that was hilarious.
Shax was on an emotional roller coaster in this episode.
Yes.
He went through a lot.
Really. But also, you know what I didn't even think about until just as he was saying that, the scene where what's his name, the first officer, is teaching people how to sit in a chair.
Oh, that's great. Doing the right sit.
So brilliant.
Right. And I think Freeman was really good in this episode too. I always complain when I think Freeman's too doofy, but I thought she was very captainly and still
100%.
funny.
Yeah.
So they did a great job of making her seem competent all the way through, even when they were winning or when they were losing.
Yeah, 100% true. I totally agree with that.
It was funny when Shax was running down the corridor and everybody was basically cheering the fact that he was going to get the ejector warp core.
Right.
What's his face? Why am I blanking? From the Children of Parma. The guy who speaks in metaphors.
Yeah, the Temerian.
He says, Arnok, on the night of his joining.
Yes.
I thought that was great.
That's funny.
Great. Yeah, I like when they actually use him and he shows up, even if it's one gag per episode. I love. For a while there, he was like a background character.
Yeah, totally.
So I'm glad they're doing something with him.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. And this is such an incredibly jam-packed show. What I thought was funny was when Beckett and the other lady showed up and they all started fighting. They actually said attack pattern delta full spread. If you've ever listened to Star Trek, that attack pattern delta is like used everywhere all the time.
Because it works.
Yeah.
I don't know why if they use it all the time, but
Yeah.
All right. Matt says there was a big turnaround in Freeman and Mariner from last week to this week. Agreed. If they took them back to the first season, snap them right back in this one. What? If they took them back to the first season, snap them right back in this one. Okay, I know what you mean.
Yeah.
Yeah. Totally.
It's kind of like what we're saying. There was growth because in the first season, there would have been Beckett and her mom would have been more. They would have been splintered a little more for what she did to her. But in this case, she's like, "I love you. Let's get on. Let's move on."
Exactly.
Yeah.
And I tell you, had I been on last week's show, one of the points that I was going to say, I assumed the question of, well, will Mariner come back? I mean, she'll come back, but when will she come back soon? And I was like, why should she? When she was the only one who stood up for the ship, and no one believed that's what everyone thought the worst of her. Why would she want to come back?
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
she really surprised me this week, and I'm
Me
here
too.
for it, as the kids say.
Yeah, me too.
And
I'm glad that she did that. I'm glad that she was like, it's okay, Mom. We got it. We're good.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because
it's
great.
Go ahead.
I think it's consistent with her character too, that she's not in it for the action and adventure. She's in it for the greater good. I remember that back to the first episode where she was sort of on the sly helping those people on that planet. You know,
Yeah.
And I think it's totally consistent with her character that just Indiana Jonesing around the galaxy and finding artifacts isn't enough for her. That's not what she's in it for.
Right.
Yeah.
But I think the point that illustrates her growth more than anything else is when Freeman says, Beckett, I'm really sorry that I didn't trust you. And she said, well, Mom, I think that's because I have made it made it difficult for you to trust me all these years.
Right.
She is admitting, she's realizing, and she's admitting. And I think that is what shows you how different she is from season 1.
True.
Absolutely. Yeah.
True.
Yeah, I thought this season was great. I thought that
I did
the
too.
story arcs, I think the cameos they did worked better than some of the ones they've done in previous years. I thought they all landed really well.
Yeah.
I love the continuity across the whole. Lower Decks has its own mythology now. I love that it's been around long enough to have its own ongoing storylines.
Yeah.
100%.
And so I've just loved it.
Yeah, me too. Great season.
Did y'all see the after credits?
There was a post-credit scene.
No.
And I had to find out on the internet and then go back because they actively discourage you from watching the credits on these shows.
Exactly.
No,
I'm not gonna
I didn't
spoil
know
it,
that.
There is a post-credit scene that you're going to want to see.
Yes.
My streaming thing for some reason jumped to, what is it called? Where the Will Wheaton stuff?
Rugrats.
Yeah. So
It
if you hit once it goes down to like where the credits go down to the lower right corner, just hit the back button and it pops back up full screen and you can watch through the end.
Yeah, on mine I had to like go over and like click on it.
Okay.
To bring it back up.
Gotcha.
However your app works, just stay in the credits because they never want you to watch credits anymore, and then they do post credit scenes, which is bizarre.
Well, because they want to lure you into the next episode, so you'll keep watching.
Mine was weird already because I watched Paramount Plus through Amazon Prime, and the strange thing is the numbering was off, so there was no episode 10. It went from and when I looked up online, is the season opener is typically it was 40 something minutes, so it's actually episode 1 and 2. For some reason Paramount didn't count it right, so it went 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 11. And it freaked me out for a minute because I thought I was missing something.
Oh yeah, I know what you mean.
That was weird.
Yeah.
Okay.
Hey, can I say one real quick thing toward the end, which I thought was funny? And that was when all the ships popped in. It was so. And then again, as a Texan, I'm like, well, you only named 3 cities from Texas. They named everything: the Alhambra, the San Diego, the San Clemente, the Fresno, the Culver City, the Anaheim, the Riverside, the Vallejo, the West Covina.
Did he?
West Covina.
One of them.
California.
Yeah, they kept naming everything.
Only 2 hours from the beach.
Yes, the Merced, the Carlsbad, the Ingleview. They just went on. I mean, he named like 20 ships. It was
because there were 20 ships. There were only
cool.
3 Texas ships.
Yeah, I thought that was pretty neat.
Yeah, and Veronica's talking about West Covina was in a TV show, and there was a song about it on the show.
Y'all didn't watch Crazy Ex-Girlfriend?
No, but they're looking at you like you're crazy. That's why I wanted to explain.
I know of it, but I haven't watched it.
All right, well, let's transition. Okay, go ahead.
One last comment from Matt. I originally thought the Pac-Leds were going to be the big baddies in Lower Decks, but now it seems various AIs are the ongoing problems that we're going to be facing.
Yeah, I think they sort of transition from one big bad to the next big bad.
I mean, you can only do so much with the Pac-Leds.
Yeah.
Anyway.
And they may come back. It's like we transitioned from the Cardassians to the Dominion and then the Cardassians were still part of the story. You know. Okay.
Well, the Pac-Leds did blow up their planet.
Yeah. I think it's a good point because I think it's whether it's the Pac-Lids or AI or just obsolescence because they're afraid their ship. They're afraid their ships. I think Lower Decks does a really weirdly effective job of saying that it all boils down to family and working together and all that human spirit stuff. It's funny that a show that's a comedy really does land some really important Star Trek messages in the middle of it.
Yeah,
so I'm impressed.
Yeah.
100%.
All right. Well, let's transition over to I almost said season 2 premiere, but it's episode 11 of season 2 of Star Trek
season
Prodigy.
1.
I got
Taking
caught
a
on that
break
too,
to
Where are
promote
Charles.
a fellow
Yeah.
ESO Network podcast show.
Charles, I got caught on that too.
Yeah.
I
we
was
take
having
a
a bad
break?
day.
No,
No, we're not breaking to promote a fellow USO
No.
Network show. Okay.
I'll tell you when we're doing that.
Jeez.
I have to do an edit if we do that. All right. So, yeah. So let's talk about the season 1, episode 11 of Star Trek Prodigy. What was it called? I don't know where
I spent time looking for season 2. I hate to tell you this.
Yeah.
Because after I got thrown
This
with
is
that lack
the
of an
third
episode 10 in Lower
premiere.
Decks, I thought I was all jacked up. So I kept looking for season 2 and I started cussing Paramount and stuff, not realizing it was still season 1.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. The name of this one is Asylum.
Okay. Great.
Yeah.
I thought it was great.
Yeah.
It was.
It was
Yeah.
very good. Very
Yeah.
good.
Absolutely great.
I love the opening
Yeah.
where
And
they were trying to rescue a space whale.
yeah,
Yes.
the scope
That
of the
was cool.
show is just off the charts for a
Yeah.
Star Trek show.
Agreed.
I mean, and I was talking to Veronica today, like with all the Janeway and Chakotay stuff, it's like they did a follow-up series to Voyager 5 years later, but with like the biggest television budget they ever had in 2005. You know what I mean? Because you got the space whales and the ships, and just the quality of all the visuals are just incredible.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I was so happy to hear Robert Beltran back because I am a Chakotay fan. And
Yeah.
so I was just happy to hear him back. I thought that was really cool. And I like to see that relationship that he and Janeway still have after the ship, after the Voyager.
Right.
Yeah.
Keith, I think it's really, really neat. And I think it's really a great touch that as soon as we start talking about the underwater scenes, your mic starts to sound like you're underwater. How did you
That better?
do that?
Is that better?
No, it's just like
Yeah, I don't know
It's
what's
like
going on with your mic.
blah, blah, blah.
It's like some stuff around the sound of your voice. I don't know.
Yeah.
It comes and
Okay,
goes.
How about that? Is that
No.
No.
Anyway,
No, you.
okay? We
No.
can edit it out.
but so underwater world
that?
is an underwater setting is something that we never get in Star Trek.
Yeah.
You know, it's not something that we ever get to explore. And that's except for that original animated series episode where Kirk and Spock get turned into fish people.
Mhm.
That's not something that we get a lot. And that's the power of an animated show. You can
Yeah.
do these things that you would never be able to do in a live action show, or at least not as easily.
Yeah, I mean, Voyager did one where there
Sorry.
was like the space ocean, and they flew the Delta Flyer into it.
Oh, that's right.
which
I
I mean,
forgot.
but I mean, it sort of illustrates the point that I can think of 2 examples.
Right.
And then the time that the Enterprise landed in an ocean in the movies, you know what I mean? So
Yeah.
in total, like 3 examples over the crossover, 50 plus years.
Right.
But it's cool to see. And I thought that their little submarine is very evocative of Spock's jellyfish, which not everyone's going to care for, but I thought it had that sort of look to
Right.
it.
Oh, Keith is agreeing with that, I guess.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Uh-oh.
Are you able to hear
Um,
me now?
Yeah, but that didn't make it better.
No, it's
Gosh.
worse, actually.
Yeah,
Sorry.
I don't know
that's
what.
all right. That's all right. You can
What
never
is-
tell with these things because
I
you
know.
can't
Okay.
yourself.
I'm
Oh,
back.
yeah. Oh,
Hey, that
beautiful.
sounds good.
Okay,
Yeah, that's
that
good.
better?
Yes.
Okay.
Cool.
Awesome.
All right. Well,
Uh,
that was the exciting part of the show for the listeners.
Well, and I said to Veronica today, and it was kind of echoed in what your little description of this thing. I was like, this is a great night to watch a Star Trek episode, and it's a bad night to be on a space station.
Yeah, totally. But it's so interesting, though, that the number of parallels between these 2 episodes from
Mhm.
completely unrelated shows, because both of them have a space station that's just getting ripped apart.
Oh
And 2 main characters who regain memories about key points in their life
Mm.
that they had not had until this point.
that's
Yeah.
true.
Very
They're
interesting.
heavily related to the destroying of the space station.
Mhm.
Yeah, the ship was involved, or
Yeah.
a ship involved. Yeah, but I thought it was cool. I thought that
Oh, yeah.
they both handled them very differently, and I thought that the visuals on the Prodigy one were just. I mean,
Right.
Lower Decks always has great visuals too, but just the different style of animation just lets you have so much more detail. It's just
Yes.
it's fantastic to see.
Yeah.
I mean, I imagine if Prodigy gets to the point where they're having big space battles like they do on Lower Decks, but on a Prodigy budget, like
That's
that's
going to happen.
that's gonna be mind blowing when
Yeah.
we get there.
I think, okay, so we kind of know where this is going. The Prodigy is a weapon that's going to be used to infect Starfleet and turn Starfleet inside out and, make everything blow up and stuff. And so the kids, their mission now is to keep the ship away from Starfleet. So they're protecting Starfleet from it. So
Yeah.
I figure at episode 20, it's going to be a big showdown between Prodigy and Starfleet ships. Maybe.
Could be. Yeah.
Maybe.
But I can't imagine that they're going to want to. They're fire phasers at the Starfleet ships to avoid them. I feel like it's going to be more of a chase.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because at the end of the day, the Prodigy is basically a ship that has malware on it that it beams to the other ships. So at some point in time, they're going to have to be able to figure out how to stop that transmission. Because I can't imagine that the Prodigy can actually ultimately truly take all the Federation ships out. At some point in time, they're going to be able to devise a defense against that. They have to be able to.
Right.
Yeah, but these kids don't know that. You know what I mean? The kids are like, we're going to destroy all of Starfleet. That's the important thing is that's what they think. And then it's dangerous for Janeway. So you have the anticipation of Janeway. You want her to catch them. Yeah. But then you don't want her to catch them. Me too. And I loved. I've enjoyed having hologram Janeway, but having like flesh and blood Janeway back on the show, and not much better since this live action, but just like real prime Janeway. Yeah. And it's like 5 years after Voyager, and you get to see Chakotay as a captain, and that bit where she walks out of the ship with her crew with her spacesuit on, and I was like, oh, this is great, man.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. I thought it was interesting when she was talking to Chakotay, because I remember in Voyager, Harry Kim said this. It might have been in the alternate future. Is the fact that she basically saying, "I can't believe you're going back to the Delta Quadrant," and he basically said, "This time it's going to be a quick trip." And I remember in the Voyager television series, I think it was in the alternate future for the actual end of the series, Harry Kim in the future, who was a captain, was going on a deep space mission for several years, and somebody, it might have been Naomi Wan, was saying, "I'm surprised after 7 years of being lost, you go back." And it kind of goes back to the thing of, this is the job. Me, I think if I've been stranded for 7 years, I'd never want to go back in the deep space. But I guess the point is, that's the job. And they do it, which I find interesting.
At the same time, this is kind of a little bit of a tangent, but it's not unusual for Starfleet ships to go on missions that long. I think for them, it's just the fact they didn't know if they're ever getting back.
Right.
So,
right.
But yeah, I'm really, just loving the show. Like I said before, like the last 5 episodes, it just got Star Trekker every week for me, and just more of the things that I wanted from Star Trek, and just bringing that in with the great visuals that they do. And they continued that in this one. I love they're doing great work with the characters, and they stray a little bit with the designs of some of the ships and things, but it's an experimental ship, so I let that go. But I just think they're doing a great job on Prodigy. I think it's really good.
Yeah. I thought it was fascinating that the like we're talking about. I think when you made a good point there, Charles, you say the kids don't know that one ship shouldn't possibly be able to infect the entire fleet. And I thought it was so interesting because another thing where you show they don't know is when they walked into that space station. Right? You'll never guess who Brickheart. You'll never guess Tellarite, founder of the Federation. I'll be danged. Even the worm, melanoid slime worm or something.
Right.
So okay, when Dahl steps into the machine, it identifies him. How come it didn't display, or did it display on screen, and the guy just didn't read it off?
It had like an alert, and it was like contact Starfleet immediately.
Right, exactly.
What does that mean? It didn't say what he was.
No,
which is interesting.
Yeah. But it gives him hope that someone has an answer, and he can find out. So,
I gotta wonder what that is. Report to Starfleet Command. I started thinking all kinds of crazy stuff, like everything from he's artificial life form to an android to a race of people like the founders, because that's just really weird. Or the child of an admiral. Who knows? I couldn't figure what that was about.
An endangered species.
Who knows?
Yeah. I really enjoyed the Denobulan guy. I think Barnes Frack was his name, or Barnes Frack, something like that. I thought he was great. And he seemed very Denobulan, using Dr. Phlox as an example. He seemed very Floxy to me. Very enthusiastic. Very cheery guy.
He's one of those typical people that crops up every now and then in Star Trek, the people who are like thrown in the middle of like a, middle of nowhere, kind of dead end job, didn't get to talk to anybody very much because he was a pretty low ranking person for the age that he seemed to be, but there he was.
Yeah.
Hey man, maybe he just wanted to be on the final frontier. And I
Yeah.
love that they like, why does he keep saying that? Because they don't know that. They're new to all this.
No,
Yeah.
the great thing about those two mentions is the way the music swells when he says
Yes.
it. And
Yeah.
it just gets like the fanfare. And then
Right.
it just drops and you're like, why does he keep saying that thing?
Yeah.
So good
I
job,
also
Nami.
really liked the whole thing with Rock and the different sciences.
Yeah.
And she's like, there's more than one.
Yeah.
There's 196.
On Star Trek, there's a lot of times there's like on all sci-fi shows, it's like the scientist does all science.
Yeah.
Exactly.
You know, the scientist is going to be an astrophysicist and a geologist, and it doesn't whatever. Spock or Jadzia Dax can do it all.
Right.
I thought that was funny.
They have people under them to do the
Right.
specialty things.
Yeah.
They just have to make sure that they are the catch-all for anything that comes up.
Yeah.
I like it once Jenkin found out. You can hear Dahl in the background kind of say, "Oh, here we go."
Yeah.
And Jenkin was basically, "Oh, we're Tellarites," and he was just going on and on
Yeah.
about how he was all this and that. And he was royalty. I thought that was fun.
Yeah.
Matt has a very interesting comment. He says, at least Prodigy has commercials targeted for kids. So instead of political ads, we got video game ads. Are you
Okay.
watching this on Paramount Plus?
I didn't
Are
notice
you-
any ads.
Are you the $6 a month or whatever it is? Because I've never seen what ads they actually play
Mhm.
other than, like I see an ad for another Paramount Plus
Yeah.
show once
Yeah.
a day.
Right.
So I've never known that they would play political ads.
Well, I'm not
mean,
surprised because everything else
I'm
you
not.
watched, yeah,
Yeah.
I mean,
They're-
there's no
yeah.
escaping them.
they're hounding us.
And kids can't vote, so there's no need to pay money to put them there.
What's funny is we watched Lower Decks tonight, and then it was auto playing a next show after that, and it pops up with the Nickelodeon blimp, and I was like, "Oh, good, it's starting," and it was Rugrats, and I was like, "That algorithm just misfired." Oh, you like children's shows from Nickelodeon? Like, what are you talking about? The only thing I watch on this is Star Trek.
Yeah, I know.
I don't know if I've ever watched anything else on Paramount Plus.
Exactly.
The diviners people are still alive and have their civilization at this time, right?
Right.
That's the whole point of this
That's
stuff.
my understanding.
Yeah, I'm going back again, watching stuff. I gotta wonder about the diviners people, because one thing, he keeps talking about everybody else being inferior species, which is a little concerning to me. That like we got one of those arrogant races. And the other thing is, I still think there's a whole bunch of overkill. It's like, I mean, I get it, but dude, you could have gone out and found the Federation and said, please don't approach our planet. This whole thing of destroying an entire civilization just because you couldn't handle first contact. Yeah, that makes me wonder about those people. So
Yeah.
I'm very interested to see what they're like.
Yeah, and I'm interested to see there's more to the story as it goes along.
Yeah.
You know, because right now, I mean, it's kind of a convoluted story to begin with, but
Yeah.
I'm interested to see how it all plays out. But I'm glad that he's still in the show though. I thought at the end of the last half season that they were sort of moving on from him.
I wondered that too.
Yeah,
so-
I didn't think he was in stasis. I thought he was like there and crazy and just like puttering around.
maybe he put himself in stasis. I don't know.
Yeah.
We'll see what happens.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm curious to see if he comes back, what will happen with him and Janeway? Will he try to manipulate her? Will he fool her? I'm kind of wondering, are his people potential would-be conquerors, or is he the one with the because he said they sent him back. So I don't know. I just wonder, are his people a threat to the galaxy outside of what they did to protect themselves? I just don't know. So I'm curious about that. And I still want to know where Chakotay is.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm glad we're getting the flashbacks though, and they're using the holodeck. It's a great way to do that.
Yeah.
Yeah. Same here.
Yeah.
I'm ready to start seeing more of Chakotay's crew.
Mhm.
I assume it's Chakotay's crew. The cast that we were announced like months ago.
I think
I
that's
don't-
Janeway's crew. We found out.
Oh, is it? I didn't
Mhm.
look close enough at the credits because I was really late tonight.
Yep, that's those folks that we thought were going to be Chakotay's crew actually turned out to be Janeway's crew at the end of the last episode we watched.
The only one that I can remember is Jamila Jamil. So was she in one of these?
Yeah, she wasn't in this one, but she's on his. She might have been in a spacesuit. She plays the Trill character.
Oh, okay.
Oh, I
Okay,
didn't know
cool.
that.
And then David Diggs plays the Andorian, and then Jason
Right.
Alexander is the Tellarite.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, I didn't know any of this.
Oh, Keith, we talked about this on a show a long time
It's
ago.
ages. You should. I got this great podcast you should listen to, Keith. All right.
baby.
Well, yeah, I think Prodigy's off to a great start, and I
Yeah.
think that's a lot of fun. Now, Keith, I know you had sort of a mini topic you wanted to touch on. Did we leave you enough time before 9, or do you
Oh,
want to
sure.
circle back?
It's question of the week. We're good.
Yeah, okay. Well, you want to go ahead and introduce it then?
Yeah, just curious. I'm curious. We talked about we once talked about doing a Halloween show, but not this year. And then we talked about last year we did things like scariest character, scariest episode, blah blah blah. I'm curious, has anything changed for you? Because Charles, you mentioned like you don't want to repeat stuff. Has anything in the last year, any of the shows now been added to the list of what you would say are kind of scary ones? And I'll go first. I will say that, and forgive me, guys, I don't remember the name of the episode, but the one where they were pretty much doing the whole hide and seek with the Gorn. Even though
Yeah.
I continue to complain about the Gorn in this series, I do not like the Gorn. But that episode with the hide and seek and the Gorn were being treacherous, and the black hole actually to me was scarier than the one with the Gorn spitting acid and stuff like that. But I would consider that kind of a. I will say I will consider, even though I have problems with them, those 2 episodes of the Gorn did make them scary, and that is something I could see as like a Halloween or a scary Trek episode because they were generally unnerving.
Yeah. I think that the one with the Gorn on the planet was the first thing that came to my mind when you'd mentioned this. That's not the one that it wasn't one of my favorites. But you know, if you're watching a bunch of scary Star Trek episodes, then that'd be on the list for sure. And I think also the newborn queen when she was like crawling after Agnes, you know, I thought that was real effective.
Oh
you know,
dude, that was so creepy.
Yeah,
that's right.
Yeah,
and I have another one that's not like scary, but it feels Halloween-y to me just because costumes, but the one where they're all like medieval and whatnot.
Sure.
Yeah, I can see that for Halloween. They're all dressed up.
Yeah, that's a dress up. You could do that. I definitely think so. I could see that as well.
Yeah.
And now you have a dog that can play Runa.
That's true.
I'm blanking, but even though I'm going backwards now, I forget what's the name of the race for Saru's people that was basically hunting them. The
Kelpian, the Ba'ul, right?
Yeah, those are still the scariest.
Very true.
Aliens I've seen introduced in Trek in years and years and years. They
that episode in season 2 where they confront them and the Ba'ul is like got the 2 characters, the whatever Saru's sister's name is, they got him basically pinned down, and it's like this big scary black.
Yes,
I loved that.
Yeah,
that was really cool. I mean, if TNG season 1 had a better budget, they would have done what you call it that way, Armus.
Yeah, right. It was like Armus crossed with the girl from The Ring was what I thought.
Right.
You know, she has that sort of.
Yeah. But there was also the episode in season 3, I guess it was, where it was the one where they find what's his name on the planet, and it's the big monster that's protecting him, but it's not a real monster. That monster was really well done.
Yeah, in that holodeck world, the sort of fractured holodeck. Yeah, that was cool.
Yeah,
that was a good one. I was trying to think while we were talking if there was anything in Discovery this season. Maybe, I mean, the 10C aren't really scary, but they're very alien though. They're very cool. Yeah.
Okay. I think so too. Yeah, I would agree with that. Other than Picard, the one thing with the Borg Queen, I can't really think of much of anything else with the whole Picard thing. I think when the security team that had been Borgified, that should have been scary, but it was just the plot just didn't work so much, so it wasn't scary for me. So I think in the last year, even though I complained so much about the Gorn, I gotta say the Gorn episodes are kind of scary.
Yeah, they were really good. Yeah. I think the scariest thing in Picard was the season-long plot.
Yes, I was about to say the plot.
The attempt at a story arc.
Right. I'm hopeful for this year. This is our year.
Yes.
You know,
it's gonna do it.
I know I said that going into season 2, and I got burned, but I refuse to go in without having hope.
Yeah, I don't want to be a fair weather fan. You know, I'm going to cheer for them whether they're winning or losing. You know, I'm there for the games.
Yes.
Nice.
Agree.
Right, so, Alan, where can people find more of you?
Okay, well, this is going to take a while. No, I'm kidding. So I've got the Alan's Record Bin podcast, little 10-minute episodes where I pull a song out of my record collection and talk about it and say why it's important to me and then play the song. And then I've got Modern Musicology, which is a show with 3 co-hosts where we talk about all sorts of different music topics. And then I've got a Doctor Who podcast that's called Doctor Who A to Z, and 2 episodes are out. The second episode is a review of the final Jodie episode. So go check those things out. I would appreciate it.
And how about you, Keith?
You can find me on the standard social media groups, Instagram, Twitter, and Facebook.
And how about us, Veronica?
Feltnerdy.com.
And?
Monkeying Around, a podcast about the monkeys.
Yep. And do you have a closing for us this week?
Yes. Rutherford, stop being impressed with the thing that's stealing our jobs.
That's a great line.
Hey, Veronica, I got one quick thing for you that I left off. Apologies.
Yes.
55 years ago today was the premiere of Cat's Paw.
Hey!
Yay!
There
The
you
pipe cleaner
go.
monsters.
Just in time for
Nice.
Halloween.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Exactly.
And I keep
All right,
expecting
y'all.
that dog to turn into something because I keep thinking of Gary Mitchell's cat.
I will
Right.
say that I went looking for my cat, and then I came back, and this dog was walking out of the
Yeah.
driveway.
Uh-oh.
So this may be my cat. I don't know.
Right. Exactly. All right, everybody, have a great week. We will see you next Thursday when we talk about episode 12 of Prodigy season 1. So take care, y'all. Keep trekking on.
Bye.